Welcome to Ask the Divorce Whisperer Facebook Live event. I'm your host, Marta Papa, and I've been a divorce lawyer and mediator for over 35 years in the St. Louis area. The goal of this program is to demystify divorce and to give people considering divorce a chance to get free information about divorce and the opportunity to ask questions of experts that I interview at each show. We meet the first and third Friday of every month, and I'll be interviewing a new expert each time. And we meet at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. I'll be interviewing a new expert each time, and I'll be asking that expert the following question. If you could give only one piece of advice to a good friend who's going through or considering divorce, what would that advice be? You could send questions to the expert through the comment section, or you can use the link that we've provided to ask questions anonymously. Today, I'm going to be speaking with Dr. Vivian Sierra, and let me tell you a little bit about her. She has a PhD in marriage and family therapy. That's really hard to get. And over 25 years of helping clients improve the quality of their life. Her office is in Clayton, so it's close to everything. And she also hosts groups of clients in similar situations, such as Moving On, which is for women during and after divorce. She also does couples and individual counseling using equine therapy in Forestville, Missouri, where she uses horses to help people connect and be able to get to the words that they're looking for and kind of relax into each other. I'll let her share that experience more vividly with you. I also want to tell you what her mission is. She sees her mission as saving the world one good woman at a time. Her passion and practice focuses on working collaboratively with ambitious and professional women from all walks of life. And she's earned distinguished awards and a 2-year fellowship at the Graduate School of St. Louis University, awards from the American Association of Marriage and Family, distinguished awards from the American Counseling Association, and is the author of a book that just came out in March that I'll let her talk about it if she'd like to. So would you please help me give a warm welcoming to Dr. Vivian Sierra.
Well, thank you so much. That's the nicest introduction I've ever had. So I hope this is being recorded so I can listen to it every once in a while.
It is. You can listen to it.
When I want to feel really good about myself.
Just lull yourself to sleep with it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Marta. And I've known Marta for quite a long time. The first time I met her was to attend one of your mediation trainings a long time ago. And so I don't know. So she impressed me then, and she still do.
Oh,
thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you.
So I'm here to talk a little bit about what I do, particularly with relation to divorce.
Yes.
And my, I guess, spin on divorce is that you can have a good divorce. And divorce comes from the word divert or diversion, to turn. So to me, divorce is rerouting your life because it will bring big changes. And big changes are often scary to people, but I think we have a tendency to think marriage is good and divorce is bad.
Yes.
It all depends what happens, to whom it happens, why it happens, and when it happens. And so it doesn't, so some people, the timing is good. Yes, you could have children. When I do work with couples who are considering divorce, I just say, take your time with it. You know, you have a lot to think through. So when I work with women who have children mostly, and some who don't. So that is something that we consider, but we consider it in with the intention of the person, well, in this case, the women, creating their best selves, right? So you're going to be different, but you also, in this instant, you have an opportunity to take advantage of understanding who you are
Mhm.
and those parts of self that you can become consciously aware of, not only for the purpose of being more self-aware, but also for the purpose of befriending these parts of yourself and developing these parts of yourself, which also ends up to being something that happens in the best interest of your family.
Yeah.
Um,
The
there are parts of
children-
ourselves that are connected emotionally
Mhm.
to, who's going to ever be the ex-spouse. And
Mhm.
part of, as you probably know, Marta, a big part of the work is to detach
Yes.
from that in a healthy way.
Yes.
So, and I'm going to ask you in your experience, because you're also very intuitive and you've done a lot of work on in the psychological and therapeutic aspects of
Mhm.
marriage and family, what you observe when someone has difficulty or is presented with obstacles in their ability to emotionally detach in a healthy way from the relationship.
Mhm.
What have you noticed can be problematic when
You
that
know,
doesn't happen in a healthy way?
that is why I went back to school after law school to get a master's in marriage and family therapy at the Menninger Institute, because I realized that uh, that that husband and wife, or husband and husband, the couple, um, they're they're tied into each other
Hmm.
in such a way that you slowly untangle them.
Yes.
And the court sees marriage as a professional partnership.
Hmm.
So when the court is doing a divorce, they're just dissolving a corporation.
Right. It's
It's just
business.
sell off the assets and
Hmm.
you pay the debts, and then you split whatever's left over between the parties.
Right.
What is there to that? And the courts do not see it, and only because they haven't been trained,
Right.
as it's an uncoupling of all those ways
Right.
that you've coupled over the time, over
Hmm.
and all those memories that you've had and traditions you've had. You're undoing all of that,
Right.
starting anew, and and that anew can be a really good thing, and it or the couple can make it a really bad thing by fighting
Right.
over New Year's, and fighting
Right.
over Labor Day, and fighting over President's Day, and things that just, you don't need to fight over that stuff.
Exactly. So you've seen that, and a lot of your work is to help iron that out through having
Yes.
a collaborative process. And
Yes.
part of my work is to help women find whatever power they have within themselves to make that happen. So because there's so much control, you're not going to have any control over another person, right? And so
Right.
if the other person is having problems with that, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, except in with how you view it and how you respond to it and how that wakes you up inside, and to explore consequential emotions of divorce. So that's what I do with these women. And so when I talk to women about what's most impactful about the group, besides the fact that they have each other there and
Hmm.
they're informed by virtue of their experience, right? So a lot of times when you ask other people for advice or go to maybe reach out to someone and you really want to have some comfort, it's very difficult for someone who hasn't had this experience to have that ability to empathize. So in this group, we have empathy, not pity, but empathy and strength and power and fun and humor and all that kind of thing, but with the goal of making ourselves stronger. And in that, one of the most powerful pieces of this group and the experience is making your own rules for living. Right. So all the rules have changed. It's like you
That's
alluded
right.
to.
Yeah.
We don't do this anymore. We don't do that anymore. This
Right.
isn't going to happen. That's going to happen. So, all right. So what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And you can take other people into consideration, like
Yeah.
your children mostly.
So I have people, I make them draw a picture of their future.
Hmm.
And and they're like, well, I don't draw. And I'm like, if you can
Okay.
draw, if you it's stickman is that's all
Right.
I can draw. So if you can draw a roof like a triangle and stickmen around
Hmm.
there, you can do this exercise. And so I have them draw a picture of the future that they want to wake up to,
Beautiful.
and
Hmm.
that and it has in it everything they need to take care of their children.
Right.
So when they draw that, if they write it out, they write it out, and then they just write the correct words that you should write if
Right.
your mother was watching you doing it. Oh, you should put in the canary, and you should put in the. I hate that canary. It poops all over the house. I hate it. So you draw your own picture of what you would like your life to look like when you wake up. Enough that it makes you want to wake up and take care of your children, all right?
Right.
And take care of yourself. Um, and so if they can draw, they get past all those shoulds and coulds and woulds, and
Right.
you get right to, well, do I want both children in here? Do I want the dog in here? Do I want the parakeet in here? Do I want the marital residence, or I want something smaller than the marital residence? But I don't want to give the marital residence away, but
Right.
I really don't want to take care of that roof and gutters. And so it makes them think about what would be in that picture. And
Well,
then,
that's interesting that you mentioned that, because I have another method where you fold the paper into 4 pieces and we move
okay,
through this. So what you're doing in the future, we also do in the past. And so because the way the memory works,
okay,
it takes a long time to consolidate all this.
yeah,
So they have all this, it can be rather traumatic. I think it's a traumatic experience to get divorced, because
oh, yeah,
it's
yeah,
traumatic and it takes a long time. So when you're doing a lot of, your brain's doing a lot of work. And so it's doing a lot of work to consolidate all these events and sequence of events that have happened, usually in a pretty short period of time,
yes,
right? That's a lot to consolidate.
yeah,
So then you have all this other things to consider. Where am I going forward? So we can start with, so you can do the same thing going forward. This piece, and then this piece, and then this piece, and then this piece. So we do that, what you're saying, but then we slow it down and we look at the different parts of just myself, or the different parts of my life. And then you create, a list
wow,
of what are my strengths, assets, and resources, people, places, things that other women will point out for each other. Well,
yeah,
I think you're really quick on your feet, or I think you have a great sense of humor. Man, you have a great, amazing way of connecting with people. You seem fearless, right?
wow, yeah,
Or, you're really willing to look at things, or I really like the way that you have a tendency to just get up and start all over, or roll with the punches, whatever it
you
is.
need to hear
So,
that, yeah,
right. And they do, and they really pick up on it. So then we start naming the obstacles, and then we work on putting them together. What's the resolution?
that's,
And so they come together, and when they do this, first of all, in a series of 8 weeks, right? And then we come together once a month, and we're following up with each other, and we're supporting each other. And where are you now? Because then it's a nice reminder. So they get back. It's
yeah,
easy to get, oh yeah, I'm going to do an 8-week group, and then we're
yeah.
good to go.
Then I'm
This
good, done,
takes months to consolidate. We're back into that.
yeah.
So there's a dual awareness going on.
Really, yeah, that is a great idea of, it's like you're taking them through the implementation of what they
Yes.
said in words at a therapy session, but now are you going to implement it? Are you going to get rid of that great big house or get rid of that great big car? I mean, now are you implementing it, and how does it feel? And that can be, I would imagine that can be really encouraging and uplifting to the other people.
Very much so. It's amazing the steps
They're
they
afraid to
take
make a,
with
they're
each
afraid
other.
to move. I'm afraid to move.
Well,
I'm
that's why we
afraid
call
to
it
drive the
moving
car.
on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's women to women. So that's the thing.
yeah,
It's like in creating connection. And
yeah,
so we know by the research that type of support is hugely helpful in creating what they call an
yeah,
adaptive resolution, right? An
yes,
adaptive process. And this, as you know from your experience being an attorney, it's very easy to have what they call a maladaptive
yeah. Oh yeah,
process, right?
yeah. You're divorced, but yeah, it's still chaos. The children are living in a chaotic world
Right.
that the
Right.
parents created. The parents created the chaos. Yeah, and
So
it was
the thing about the
chaos.
horses is that particularly because of COVID, we can do some therapeutic um, opportunities, create therapeutic opportunities in the arena with the horses. So the horses, it's called groundwork, because nobody's riding horses at that time, but they're getting together, and we create activities and do different sorts of things that really speak to whatever the women are dealing with. But because it's an arena, it's like a living Rorschach, and I don't, that might scare people, but we
No,
project ourselves into the arena, so the words are not they're not necessary, and then we can process in a safe environment. So the whole deal about a group is to create a safe environment where people can feel free to express themselves, explore, figure
wow.
out who they are at this point in their life and where they want to be. Because what we find out is we're like rubber bands, and we'll be stressed so far, and then we'll go back to what we know when we relax.
Good
But we
point.
have to keep kind of stretching it, but not pushing it to our limit. And
Mhm.
so we're gentle with each other. But that horse experience with other women, it's very it's really, there's a lot of like good attachment, right? This
Mhm.
is my group. So I have women that go out to brunch twice a month. They call each other, they tell
Wow.
each other their plans. They're the one, oh, I'm buying a new place, oh, I'm moving, to such and such, or and all different kinds of things. And
Mhm.
different phases of life in the family life cycle stage: little kids, no kids, want to have kids,
Mhm.
grown kids, college age kids, high school kids. So it's all different kinds of women, different phases of life, different cultures, different ethnicities. It doesn't matter, because they're bonding over trying to become the best person they can within the circumstance.
Mhm. Oh, that's wonderful. And I love what you say um about, oh, and I've already forgotten the word, but the word about coming to a resolution. That's the word. Coming to a
An
resolution.
adaptive resolution.
Yeah. Because you can get divorced and divide up the stuff and divide up the time with the kids and divide up the money and still be living in terror, and
Hmm.
still be too afraid to go forward. And people, I think of women that get on the floor in a fetal position and they just rock back and forth, and I'm like, you're going to have to do that at the hospital, or you're going to have to do that in a psychiatrist's office. You can't do that here in your lawyer's office. You can't do that here. And you are going to be the model for your children. So if you don't have any children, you can just check yourself into a psych ward and spend the rest of your life there, right? But if you have children, you are the model for your children. And what do you want to model for them? Well, that's what you have to pick yourself up and do and be if you're going to model for them.
Well, and it
How
also be very, you can be harmful to the kids to have, which, because divorce is so difficult, and it can be hard because because when you're going through divorce and all that pain, you're turned inward, and your kids don't have that part of you. So that point, they're really not getting the good enough parenting, as we call it. So
yeah,
because you have other people out here, what we call the holding environment, kind of parenting you,
yep,
it makes you more available to do that. And so that's the other thing. So this is a multi-systemic process that I'm very aware.
yeah,
So
that
that's why we
that's
have,
wonderful.
that's why it's important to help women help each other, because they need that. And it's important to do it in that environment where there's no judgment. We're here to help each other. We
Yeah,
establish very clear goals for each person in that group to get go.
yeah,
So we know what they want, and
great.
we know where they're going, and we keep working towards that. And again, it's that support, it's that listening, it's the creativity that they have, and then the connection they have for each other. And so the
Oh,
more groups I have, the bigger the community will grow.
yeah.
So you're not alone at all.
So I can't end without asking you the famous question of, if you had one piece of advice to offer to someone getting divorced, what would that piece of advice be?
Get support.
Get support.
Yeah, because it's not something you want to do alone, particularly now.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Hmm. That's
Um,
what I would tell someone, is to go to someone that knows what they're talking about, whether it's a friend, a therapist.
yeah,
But doing this alone is
yeah.
really, it's, and understand
That's
that's the
great
difficult
mental thing.
thing. You don't have to do it alone. I don't recommend you doing it alone.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't think that will make you stronger. I
And I like what you
think it
say
will make
about
you,
women who,
there's not a stone unturned in a divorce.
yeah. I like what you're saying about, also if women or men are internalizing and really thinking about themselves, the kids get left out. The kids get left
Right.
out.
And it's not intentional. So I want
No,
people to understand
no,
that it's reasonable to
yeah,
think that you're not going to have there's just too many things, too many balls in the air.
Yeah.
And then the emotional consequence, it's a lot for a person to bear. And then under the circumstances of COVID, I have no idea what's going on in your home.
Yeah.
How many more responsibilities
Yeah.
that you have based on that,
Yeah.
and really not having the human connection. In fact, I'm even going to start a group for mothers to support mothers, because this,
Oh,
and
great.
they're dying for that, because it's just,
Yeah.
the caregivers have a hard time because caregivers need to be taken care of.
It's isolating. It's so
Very.
isolating. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that's what I would say. And a lot of it is just normalizing it so that you can say, oh, okay. And it just takes a little of the pressure off. It's a release.
Mhm.
People
Yeah.
look forward to coming. And it's one of my most favorite things to do in my
Oh,
work.
great.
Yeah, we have a good time. We laugh.
That's great. Well, that's really great.
We really do laugh. It's not all serious.
Yeah.
No, we surprisingly, we laugh a lot.
Yeah. Good. Great. Well, our time's up. It went really
That was
fast.
great. Thanks so
Our
much.
time's up. And thank you so much for sharing your years of experience
Mhm.
with us and
Absolutely.
condensing it into 20 minutes or so, condensing it into some sound bites that we can leave with, and some goals, some definite goals that we can leave with, that we're going to put this goal, or we're going to chase this goal
Yeah.
while we're doing this process. We're going to look for this goal as we're going through this process.
Right.
Great. So I'm thinking, Sarah, were you able to put any information up there about how to contact her? Okay, so Sarah, our tech expert here, is going to put information about how to contact.
Yeah, I apologize too, because my website has been down now. We're rebuilding it. It came upon, some terrible little virus or something. So
So tell them
phone
how-
number,
you.
contacting my assistant or myself.
Okay.
My number is 314
Okay.
643 6644. And then email is just Vivian at drviviansierra.com.
Great. Good. So if you have any other questions, she's there to ask. She's there to
Yeah,
answer.
oh, absolutely. I answer the phone quite a bit.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Marta. I really
And
appreciate it. It's always good to see you and talk to you. You're delightful.
Okay. Same here.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. And
All
we'll
right.
see you in 2 weeks for another Ask the Divorce Whisperer Facebook Live page.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye.